wake up in the middle of the night to a strange odor. Within minutes, you're nauseated, weak, coughing, vomiting. You try getting out of bed, but your legs are paralyzed. Is this it? You're probably thinking. Am I gonna die? It was 1944 in Mattoon, Illinois. For 2 weeks that summer, the town was terrorized by a madman. And not just your run-of-the-mill madman. This guy went around gassing people. I'm John Genoa, host of America's Strangest History. In this episode, we're looking at the Mad Gasser of Mattoon. And no, I'm not talking about the Phantom Farter. The Mad Gasser, as the press dubbed him, was also known as the Anesthetic Prowler or the Phantom Anesthetist. Over 24 separate cases of gassings were reported to the police over the span of just 2 weeks, along with reported sightings. The first incident came on August 31st, 1944, when Urban Reef woke up in the middle of the night to a strange odor. Within seconds, he felt nauseated and weak and began vomiting. Fearing a gas leak, Reef's wife checked the stove. To her horror, she realized that she couldn't. She'd been partially paralyzed and couldn't get out of bed. The paralysis lasted for around 90 minutes. And things didn't stop there. A few hours later, a young mom living nearby woke to the sound of her daughter coughing. She also tried getting out of bed, but to her shock, found herself paralyzed. It continued. Another woman reported an attack that very night. She'd been up drinking coffee when she heard a noise like a plop, followed by a strange smell. Within minutes, her hands and legs were tingling. She felt dizzy, like she was floating. The next night, there was another incident. Aline Kearney said she smelt a strong, almost sweet odor around 11 p.m. Initially, she dismissed it, thinking she was smelling flowers outside her window. But as the odor grew stronger, she began losing all feeling in her legs. Then she developed a tightness and dryness in her throat and a burning sensation on her lips. Panicked, Aline cried out for her sister, who was in the other room. Her sister noticed the smell and traced it to the bedroom window, which was open. Frightened, they called police, who came out and searched for intruders, but ultimately came up empty. Fortunately for Aline, within a half hour or so, the weird symptoms subsided. An hour later, Aline's husband Bert returned from working the night shift. Walking up the drive, he saw a suspicious-looking person lurking near one of the windows. Bert gave chase, but the man escaped. The suspect was described as a tall man in a tight-fitting cap and dark clothing. This was the Mad Gasser. Police assumed money was the motive. The Kearneys had a large sum of cash in their house, and police figured that the gasser may have seen Aline and her sister counting it earlier that evening. But that wouldn't explain the 6 similar attacks that happened to other victims in the days that followed. No clues or evidence were found at any of the houses until the night of September 5th. That was when Carl and Beulah Cords came home after a night out. The first thing they saw was a piece of white cloth around the size of a man's handkerchief laying on the porch. Beulah picked up the cloth and smelled it, and instantly became violently ill. She later described it as being similar to an electric shock. Her face swelled, she felt a burning sensation in her mouth and throat, and within minutes she began vomiting. Also, just like the others, she experienced partial paralysis in her legs. The effects lasted for 2 hours. After recovering, Beulah said she assumed the cloth had been left there to knock out the family dog, who often slept there so the thief could gain access to the house. The cloth was analyzed, but investigators found no chemicals on it. But the Cords family also found a well-used skeleton key on the sidewalk. Did the Mad Gasser drop it? Perhaps it was lost when he was lurking outside the home. It was another busy night for the Mad Gasser as a second incident was reported. A Mrs. Burrell, who lived in the same town, reported seeing a stranger break in through her bedroom window, who then attempted to gas her. She started screaming and scared him off before he could get to the gassing part. Police brought in the FBI and issued a statement asking residents to avoid lingering in residential areas. They also warned against local vigilante groups searching out the gasser because of potential obvious dangers. The FBI's best hypothesis was that the chemical agent was chloropictin, a poisonous gas with a sweet odor used for exterminating rodents. But no traces of this gas was ever found, and the reported symptoms didn't actually match its effects. With the increase in publicity came an increase in sightings, most of them false. Police reported finding footprints underneath windows and tears in window screens. One woman reported the gasser to police, only to later realize it was a bottle of nail polish she accidentally spilled over. Theories ranged from a disgruntled high school chemistry teacher to a violent prankster to an escaped Nazi prisoner of war. A wealthy eccentric known to have a laboratory in his basement was investigated, and police began calling mental hospitals to see if any recently released patients had obsessions with poisonous gases. One woman, loading her husband's shotgun to protect herself from the gasser, accidentally triggered it and blew a hole in her kitchen wall. By mid-September, local police received so many false alarms they backed off on their response to them. In fact, police started attributing a lot of the panic to anxiety felt by women while their husbands were away at war. It was around this time that reports of the mad gasser began declining. The only incident of note after that was a woman who claimed she saw a gasser, but she said it was a woman dressed like a man, a cross-dressing gasser. So, what happened here? Ultimately, no one died or suffered serious medical consequences as a result of the gassing. After floating the female war hysteria theory, police shifted gears and blamed chemicals carried on the wind by a nearby industrial facility. But Atlas Imperial, the facility in question, said they only had small amounts of the chemicals on hand, not nearly enough to have caused the mayhem in Mattoon. They also pointed out that none of their own employees smelled anything or got sick themselves. In all likelihood, there was a gasser. He or she was probably not responsible for all of the reported sightings or smellings. A good chunk of reports was likely mass hysteria, but not all. It certainly started somewhere, my guess is with a real person. Somebody going around gassing people. If you have any thoughts as to who or what was behind the gassings, please leave them in the comments below. I'm John Genoa. Please like and subscribe. We'll be back with more from America's Strangest History soon. Thanks for watching.